In this video, we're going to look at constraining angles. I know it doesn't sound very exciting, but I just wanted to show you a few things that I think will help you with your sketches, with constraining sketches, and how you constrain angles particularly. So first things first, let me show you my version of FreeCAD. And I'm using this latest release of 0.20, and it is Git 28918. I haven't downloaded it in the last few days, but this is still a pretty recent release. So if you're doing any of this and it doesn't work, it might be because you have a different version. Remember, 0.19 is still the official release, but this 0.20 is so close, I strongly recommend you switch if you haven't switched already. Okay, without further ado, I'm in the Sketcher, as you can see here. So I have a sketch, it's a blank sketch. There's no need to create anything special. I'm just going to show you a couple of lines and things that we do with the Sketcher. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create an angle, and I'll create it around that point there. And I think everybody knows that if you select this one and this one, we can create an angle, an angular constraint. So I'm going to say OK, and then my angular constraint there is at 33 degrees. Now obviously that constrains it there, but it doesn't constrain us this way. So it just means these two lines are at 33 degrees to each other. Now what happens if, let's make that a round number, I'm going to make that 30 degrees. So what happens if I actually wanted to constrain it around the outside? So the outside would be 330 degrees. So I want to do the constraint this way and not across here. So this automatically tries to constrain in the most appropriate way. But if I want to constrain it the other way, I can. So it'd be minus 330, which will keep the angle the same. There'll still be a 30-degree angle there, but it'll be constrained across the back here. So let me see that. And there you have it. So now I've constrained it out through the back, or the complement of that angle. So you can constrain it either way. Now if I want to lock this, how do I lock this angle here? So I want this angle to be constrained. And I'm not sure how many people know, but you can actually take one line and just constrain that with an angle and say OK. And now what it's doing is it's constraining that angle to this horizontal, and now that is constrained, so it can't rotate anymore. And I'm going to switch this one back to its 30 degrees because it'll take that out of the way so we can see what we're doing here. So I changed that back over there. And now if I want this to be constrained any differently, I can do the same things with the negative and the positive to keep that in the same location. So you can create an angle with just one line. And if we look at this now, the way that it's constrained, we have it constrained for this angle and this angle. So there's no need to constrain this angle. We know what that angle is. So again, you can do an angular constraint on a single line. So let's have a look at some other things you can use angular constraints for. So if I draw a radius here, and I want to say how much of an angle this to this is, I can select just that line, use the angular constraint, and there I have, this is 144 degrees. I can make it, let's make it 120. And I have that constraint. Once more, it's constrained in that it covers 120 degrees, but it's not constrained to the fact that it can rotate. So I can still pull this around and rotate it. So now if I want to constrain this line from moving around like this, I can just take a construction line from there to there, and literally just put an angle on that one construction line. Say OK. And there it is. It won't rotate now. Obviously, we have to lock this point in space for it to be fully constrained. But we're just looking at the angular constraints. And then finally, I'm just going to get rid of this for a minute. Let's get rid of those as well so we can put a line here. We'll put this here, and then we'll go this point, and this, and we can constrain that angle here. So that gives us the angle that this is connected at to that line. So that's how you can constrain an arc to a straight line. So you pick the straight line, the point, and then the arc, and then you can constrain that angle. So hopefully this has helped. There is a FreeCAD wiki page on constraining angles. You certainly can take a look at that, and it will give you the insight into how to do these constraints and how to do them from different aspects. And the one to remember is also you can constrain these lines with an angle, even though they're not joined together. When we do that, their angular relationship is now maintained, even though they're floating around in space. They can only be 46 degrees apart. If I make this 45 degrees, just so we've got, just so that we have round numbers. So there's 45 degrees. If I wanted to do this complementary angle, so you just take this away from 360. So that's going to be 315 degrees, and then you make it negative, so minus 315, and there you have the complement angle. And that's about it for today. That's as far as this video is concerned. I'm just going to leave it there. If you have any questions about constraining angles, feel free to leave a comment, send me a message. If you're on the Patreon or member of the channel, you can certainly leave me a message through there. I'll get straight back to you. And if you have any ideas for future videos, anything you'd like to see, feel free to leave a message for that too. I appreciate all your support. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Please consider becoming a member, becoming a patron. That helps the channel, helps me to continue to create these videos. So thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.